Why, hello there, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages. My name is DB333 and welcome back to Hearts Round 4, the New Order Last Days of Europe as the Western Siberian Provincial Authority, based out of Omsk. Now, last video, we took out, I believe, EuroLeague in Orenburg. I think that was last video, at least. It's been a few days since I recorded the last part. I've just had HoI 4 running in the background for, let me go ahead and see. 3,545 minutes. So that's fun. Probably don't need to do that. I've heard that. I don't know, I've heard mixed things, but I could probably have, turned my poor computer off, let her have a break, but, I got homework and shit I gotta do, so it's not like I've kept it only for that. But, yeah. We're going to go ahead and start the timer and then get to it. What we're doing the black budget, that's right. And then we got the education, and then we got the national readout program, which I'm very curious about. We have until, what? 69 for the war to start, and I have a feeling that old Vladimir boy is going to be very interested in going to war with us, so I don't think we can negotiate our way out of this. There we go. World Cadre number 3056. You've been selected by lottery for your designation as an urban cadre. Congratulations. New residences have been prepared for you in downtown Tiumen. Resistance will be treated as treason, said a dead-eyed League's member to the frightened villagers. The military transport behind them sputtered in anticipation of carrying the villagers off. What? What's a cadre? Asked a slack-jawed local. Resistance will be treated as treason, clarified the soldier. Will we be coming back? Whimpered the little girl. Oddly, the Leaguesman seemed to soften upon hearing the child's voice, and kneeled down to speak with her. Resistance will be treated as treason, he said reassuringly, before ruffling her hair and standing back up. You have 3 hours to gather your belongings and board the truck. Failure to return at that time will be treated as resistance, and resistance will be treated as treason, groaned several villagers in unison. What a lucky cadre. Right, is this, yeah, we're forcing them to, just move into the cities, that's right. Well, you gotta do what you gotta do for the trial. So be gone. An end to luxury, a big consumer good factory reduction. Curious how our construction is going. Pretty well, actually. Very well, even. Get some more stuff in Kurgan. Wherever that is. Kurgan right here. Yeah. 10 infrastructure, so makes sense. Yeah, this is going great, I gotta say. Black budget. And it started small. One of his subordinates had alerted him to the highest spending being directed towards land survey and related activities in the spring budget. Constantine had wanted to make sure his bureau was getting value for money, decided to investigate what they needed a land survey for. Navigating the complex web of bureaucracy had only become more difficult under the management of the Black League, but Constantine had applied the same single-track determination to the task that had seen him rise rapidly through the ranks since their takeover. While he turned up several other instances of high sums directed towards a land survey and related activities, he never seemed to track down where the money went. In the end, he'd had to call in a favor with his brother-in-law at the State Development Directorate to get a physical address. Now that he'd safely written it down, maybe he'd finally get to the bottom of things. The morning after Constantine's visit to the Directorate, there was a strange man in his bedroom when he woke up. As Constantine scrambled to make sense of the situation, the intruder politely invited him to get dressed and join him for breakfast. Please, have some tea, the man began as Constantine sat down opposite of him. Constantine Alexandrovich, by all accounts, a great servant of Russia and the Black League. It would be a loss for everything if something was to happen to you. It's a dangerous job, hunting addresses. Going back to your office might be better for your health. Well, it is a nice office. And we got our research facilities are going up at a mighty fine rate. I gotta say, I'm happy with it. Go ahead and go with an all-league education. There's no greater victim of the German atrocities than the children of our nation. The bombings robbed them of their childhood. The destruction of Russia robbed them of their futures. They have nothing left to look forward to but the possibility of revenge on those who have taken everything from them. But Glavkarek himself has taken a special concern for the children of the League. He sees the potential within them, the leaders, to become the next generation of Russian leaders and soldiers. He will not allow this potential to be wasted. A new nationwide education system is being planned, centered around a curriculum designated to prepare children as young as 5 to serve the League in any capacity they can. This will not be an education of useless academics, but of practical skill. Children will learn how to work in their parents' cadres. They will learn that if called upon, they must be able to fight and willing to die for Russia and the League. We want no more from them than we do from any other citizen. Hey, you know, children soldiers work in Africa. I don't see why they won't work in Russia. We'll go with it. Oh. Game? It's just Canada having their elections, I guess. Of course, that's Canadian happenings are always a bit of a drag when it comes to, you know, the frame rate, as we all know. What's going on? Wasn't it Zimbabwe? Not Zimbabwe. Mugabe in Zimbabwe? Yep. I'm curious where the ultranationalism comes into play with Mugabe. Because there's nothing in the pie chart. I think it's supposed to be National Socialism, but yeah, it's not. De Salazar. Interesting. Got an all-league education. Next, we'll go ahead and do the National Readout Program, because I'm really curious about this one. A reality haunts the Black League's government. Those who know the most of the preparations for the Great Trial know that it will likely not be a war of reclamation, but a final act of vengeance. The German enemy has more than enough nuclear weapons to destroy the world, and there is little question that they would rather drag Earth to hell with them than let us bring justice without retribution. If Russia and the League are to have any hope of survival, we must be ready for this last cowardly act of self-destruction. Across the nation, we shall build a system of bunkers and shelters based on the designs of those in Omsk. Pre-existing fortification complexes and metro systems will be reinforced and stocked with the supplies to serve as emergency shelters. New purpose-built shelters will be built in the largest cities of the nation, designed to hold as many people as possible. If the day comes when the enemy decides it would rather destroy the world than face the consequences of their choices, the Black League will shelter in the earth. When the fires are burned out, we will emerge and teach them that they cannot escape so easily. Is this a prequel to Metro? I think this is a prequel to Metro, guys. Oh, Cheetah finally won. Okay. Well, you don't have that much time to get ready. The dam has officially been finished. Very nice. Yeah, yeesh. Took you long enough, Mikhail. Rurik's already on his modernization. Andrei loved school. Oh, great. Conspiracy. His teachers pushed him hard, he knew, but that was important if he was to ensure national survival. Every person living within the League's territories, even those as young as them, needed to learn. Need to prepare if the Great Trial was to be overcome, and Andrei intended, with every fiber of his being, to be ready. In between his ordinary classes on language, mathematics, and the like, he received instruction on the principles of the League. The morning he learned about the visionary foresight of General Karbashev and his preparation for the first national programs of action. In the afternoon, he learned about how he could better shape himself to help, with ever-increasing effectiveness, the purification, reclamation, and vengeance inherent to the other programs. Every day, one more day closer to the Great Trial, he learned more, understood more, and became more prepared. He'd even begun applying lessons outside of school, watching carefully for evidence of revisionism or insufficient dedication. He already identified several such individuals, and thought he could, of course, and though he could, of course, not be so sure what happened after his reports, at least two had, so far, not been seen since. And deservedly so. Andrei intended to protect himself, his family, his people, and the Black League, and he would not be deterred from any course of action that would advance any of those goals. That's what his teachers taught him, and Andrei very much loved school. To overcome the great trial, loyalty must be ensured from a young age. Exactly. The Nazis knew that. I mean, look how they're doing right now. I mean, it's not like they're going to get cucked by Switzerland or anything. I don't know why you would suggest that. Super heavy battleships. See? They're building big-ass battleships. Of course that makes sense. They're doing fine. Where even is that on their tree? Revive Plan Z. Oh, there we are. Okay. Yeah. Nothing wrong there. Let's hold off on the industry stuff. Let's get working on Operation Potemkin. On the world stage, our nation has appeared to be mysterious and inaccessible. If we want support, this will need to change. Comrade Yazov has ordered an extensive campaign to show the world he is a developmental authoritarian, attempting to bring improvements and modernity to his country. To make sure we receive as much support as possible, we will invite multiple foreign dignitaries and press for the first time to visit territories under our control. To the foreigners, it is in the League's best interest to present ourselves as a society traumatized by war and economic disparity. We can send a message that we are struggling to demilitarize and beat our swords into plowshares. The press will be shown only what we want them to. Soon, we will have the aid we want, not meant for demilitarization, but something much more effective at destroying our enemies. Brilliant. Okay, ooh, the redoubt. Let's start in Nizhny Tagil, because that's going to be right on the border with the sovereignty of West Russia. Anything that can help our troops out is going to be worthwhile. Early anti-air, improved anti-air equipment. Start building that. Starting to think that our anti-tank or anti-air that you were researching before, not what we need, not exactly the same, perhaps. I might be wrong there. I do not know. But yeah, I don't know. I'm not. What can I say? I now have 1,000 hours in this game. I still don't know that much about it, admittedly. But, you know, I play, I have fun. That's what matters in a video game. And here we have Fortnus Kozvinsky Kamen. All Yazov saw was a big flat rock in the middle of nowhere. But this was to be the last bastion of the Russian people. The new command center here under Kozvinsky Kamen would ensure that nothing could stop the final plans for revenge on Germany. The Earth would absorb the blows from even the strongest nuclear weapons, and those sheltered inside would survive, to emerge as avenging angels for their motherland. Construction had already begun some time ago, and you could just barely make out the massive concrete and steel circular doorway that led deep into the mountain. All of Omsk had experienced being underground at one point or another, but no subterranean structure would truly compare to this operation. He thought of what Karbyshev would say if he saw this, and what his little state had become. For some reason, it turned his stomach. A wriggling doubt in the back of his mind told him that something was off. He remembered the doubts he heard from Karbyshev just before his death, and his words about right and wrong. They left a sour taste in his mouth as he walked towards what was to be his wonder of the world. Surely Karbashev would agree that this was necessary. Surely he was doing the right thing for Russia. Such thoughts cannot be entertained. Let's think of other things. It's not worth worrying about that. Why should we? Operation Potemkin. Now let's go ahead and go with some appeals for recognition. We need to appeal to the foreign powers to recognize us as a legitimate nation and the best contender to unify Russia. The newly formed National Reclamation Authority will deal with the foreign nations to make sure our appearance is up to par with what they are looking for. We must not be allowed to give back some other illegitimate government that is not our own. Of course, the largest thing stopping us from receiving support is our appearance of seeming too radical. The League will be shown to appear not as ruthless dictators, but as unfortunate authoritarians who care about their nation and their people. The League is justly fighting against the dangers of National Socialism. It wouldn't be hard to hide some of the more unappealing qualities from foreigners. All of you are aware of the many failures of the first trial. We must learn from these and adapt to our new circumstances. One of the failures was poor relations between Russia and the Western powers. When alliances against the Germans needed to be formed, they backed away. When aid needed to be sent, they did not send enough. When the time came for all nations to stand strong against the madmen, the world failed. Justice will need to come to those who abandoned Russia in her hour of greatest need. That's not why I've called you here today. I'm here to announce Operation Potemkin. This operation, conducted by our propaganda departments as well as our Directorate of Foreign Activities, will ensure that those who do not understand the measures we must take are either not aware of them or are convinced of their necessity. This means giving a new face to the Black League, one of strength, yes, to deter aggression, but also one of peace, one of security. We must focus on the people and how safe and fulfilled they are at being part of a great nation. We must pretend to be as hedonistic and narcissistic as those in the West. We must also reassure our potential enemies that our goals do not stretch beyond the borders of Russia. The Japanese would certainly be nervous about resurgent Russia. They must be calmed. The Germans would naturally be furious about the rise of a strong power once again in the East. They must be deceived and distracted. Gentlemen, we must act quickly as the reunification continues. Details on the assignment can be found on page 5, budgetary matters on page 13. Good hunting. Lambs to the slaughter. Beautiful. Those dumb fucking Westerners. Look at this fucking loser. War on poverty. Where's the war on the Germans, you losers? Wait, the war on poverty? Token civil rights? Hold the fuck on, Robbie. What did you do? Oh, Robert, what did you do? I gotta look at this shit for a second. Tag USA. It's always interesting to see how the USA is doing. Let's see. 40 center, 20 Democrats, 11 Republicans. Well, they're not doing too well, are they, overall? Okay, what do? They put their foot in the door. They didn't do all this. That probably didn't help that too much. Okay. Tag OMS. Yeah, there we are. Appealing for recognition. Now we are despotist. Just a little cringy, because I like ultranationalists better. But if we gotta pretend to be, you know, a bit of a pushover, so be it, you know? We gotta do what we gotta do. And what we gotta do is murder millions of Germans. So, you know. This will be interesting. Knock down their war support. That might be good. Let's do the Directorate of Foreign Activities. To come out on top in the coming conflict, we need intelligence. Minister of Foreign Affairs Alexander Sakharovsky has come forward to organize a Directorate of Foreign Affairs, which will handle all foreign intelligence operations in Russia and elsewhere. Informants within all countries you hold interest in will give us many diplomatic and subversive opportunities. To infiltrate these nations, the guise of ambassadors from our friends and spies of our enemies will prove most useful in gaining the most intelligence we need. There we go. Whoa, what the okay. Disastrous strikes are negotiations with Japanese. Though the fat Zaibitsus look upon our grand state with nothing but hunger, they fail to pressure their government into recognizing us. Our ploy has been an explosive one, trucking resources into Omsk from all over our territory and accidentally detouring the Japanese delegation through the stockpile to whet their plunderous appetites. The business representatives set along fell for our ploy, but it seems the actual diplomats did not. We received a call from the Japanese Foreign Office informing us that our request has been denied. They've issued a formal complaint against our, quote, con artist diplomacy. Many in charge of the plot have been reported by their subordinates for incompetence, and leadership restructuring is underway to prevent such failures within the ministry again. What the fuck? And the Americans. Though we clearly fooled the majority of the fat and ignorant diplomats with our performance as a third world nation trying a little too hard to make a good impression, there was one man who clearly saw right through us. We weren't foolish enough to assume the CIA wouldn't have a presence at that conference. In fact, we planned for it. A CIA that believed us to be insignificant would report that we are no threat, and thus spend their resources elsewhere. We politely ignored the overly curious bodyguards, whose performance we couldn't hold a flame to the impenetrable wall of deceit we laid upon them. And yet, one of those damned agents didn't believe a word we said, staring, scowling, and whispering to his fellows the entire conference. He must have gotten through to someone, for not long after they returned to their gilded shithole of a country, we received a call informing us that our request was denied, and that we were not to contact their ministry again. A wave of finger-pointing has engulfed the foreign ministry, and several officials who were in charge of a deception have been removed from their posts. Line up a firing squad for those at fault. This will not happen again. Looks like revenge is coming to many people much earlier, ladies and gentlemen. Kind of cringeworthy that all happened. Look at this decadent asshole going to fucking Rome. Director of Foreign Activities. Fucking Americans, am I right? Look at this fucking libtard. What the hell? SMH. My head. Alexander slumped down in a chair and stared at the ceiling. It had been a busy day, talking to agents, organizing intel, reporting to Yuzov personally. The progress had been made. He was very pleased with how the Black League's tendrils were creeping into every adjacent world they could get into. Finally, he had a real intelligence organization, not the scratch group of operatives he used to deal with. Confiscating files of conquered warlords naturally supplemented his own work, so Director of Foreign Affairs was ready for the next step. But who? To the east, with their political chicanery and nearly unlimited political potential for meddling, or further than that, to the Soviet states who had forgotten their place in history. Perhaps west to their old comrades, or to the insane asylum. It was getting hard to tell these days. Either way, he had a lot of work to do tomorrow. The next great step in their networks would have to be made, in concert with the army. The ground must be laid for unification, and much of that burden would naturally fall on him. He didn't mind, because from this small office, with its uncomfortable chair and desk that was far too small for his needs, he could spy on every man, woman, and child from Finland to Irkutsk. He closed his eyes to rest for a few minutes. Power is a gun, pointed in the right direction. Well, let's get going. Oh, new focus, that's right. Need to get working on that. Let's go ahead and go. Let's work on the Russian National Army, actually. With our local obstacles dispensed with, we now possess the manpower necessary to transform our current forces into a true standing army worthy of Russia. The cadres and redemptionary brigades must have the training, equipment, and oversight they need to become capable of facing anything the warlords of Russia can muster, and the Germans, in time. The Russian National Army will come to surpass the Russian armies of old in every way imaginable. Ours will no longer be a mere militia or defense force. It will be a legion without number. When the great trial comes, the steppes and forests of Russia will echo with the march of 10 million boots on Germany's ruins. Of course. So our army professional rate's going up at a pretty decent rate. Our manufacturing base is coming along with it. Academic base, da-da-da. I have Lozano over here. Getting Lozano's just making me really excited for Cold Southern Springs, which is via submod that's adding stuff to Latin America. Mainly South America. But yeah, it looks pretty good. Let's go with Latosk. Same idea. Should be right on this one. Oh, this one, right. Russian National Army. Fortify that a little bit better. Let's do a Will of Iron. Most soldiers are mere men, and men share their vulnerabilities. The average soldier, no matter his courage, will flee rather than risk being crushed by a tank, roasted by a flamethrower, or mowed down by machine gun fire. Our soldiers, therefore, must be more than merely average. They must be unthinking in their dedication to Russia, the Black League, and the Glavkorek. They must never question orders, no harbor any mercy in their hearts. They must not give it a single step to the enemy, no matter whether it costs one of their number or 1,000. If the Germans think us so inhuman, we shall gladly show them what that truly means. From a vantage point overlooking the training yard in Tumen, Captain Rodion watched his men train. It wasn't like it used to be, the army of the Black League. And he should know, he had been there since the start. Rodion had been one of those good soldiers who followed Karbashev east after it became clear that the Union would fall. The days after they arrived in Omsk were a simpler time, with simpler duties for the army they had built. The old days of infantry was hardly more than ditch diggers and military foundation builders, with a few more seasoned teams that would hunt bandits, naturally. That had been Karbashev's plan. Dig in, prepare for a day when war would be upon them. Rodion had known it was a naive plan. He had always known that no victory could be won as a hermit state. It was the sole reason that Rodion was still alive, while the rest of the old guard had died during his old ascension. Rodion eyed the instructor, teaching tactics Karbashev would never have trained thought to teach him. How to assault enemy lines, how to clear minefields, how to sweep and hold buildings. The army of the Black League was ready to attack, not merely to defend. It was no longer simply the army of Omsk. It was the Russian National Army. An army to pacify Russia. Totally based. Incredibly based. What do we want to do? Do you want to do any of these? I'm kind of tempted to. Get some better close air support. Improve that. Advanced drop tanks, get those going. Infantry, anti-tank 2. There we are. Got a will of iron. Leonid was firmly blindfolded and packed off on a truck to be dropped in the wilderness. This was simply another test, he thought, but he remembered those who had not passed, the state they had been when they were finally found. He was aware of the price of failure. We're here. Send him off. Good luck, comrade. He was then unceremoniously dumped into the snow. It was freezing, and all he had was his standard-issue overcoat. He took off his blindfold and looked around. He couldn't even see the truck through the blinding snow. But he wasn't given a compass, and so he began. If he headed south, he might be able to hit a road before he froze to death. When the sun finally rose on a frozen and exhausted Leonid, and the snow finally stopped driving down, he fell to his knees and wept. For there was his base camp, and all its meager comforts. They had to remove one of his toes later, but this was no matter. He was a hard man now, and if he could survive this trial, he could survive anything. The world was no match for him. Mind over matter. There's a lot of good infrastructure right on the German border here, which is interesting. I don't think it's usually that good. Not from what I can remember. It might actually just be that good and I don't notice. I don't know. Or I don't remember. Let's do ISD field commanders. The old Soviet commissars were one of the few good ideas that the Politburo ever spat out. It's a shame that they were fatally misguided by the folly of Bolshevism, rather than being guided by the twin virtues of patriotism and hatred of the Germans. And yet, perhaps the core of the idea is not beyond salvation. The most dedicated ideologues of Black Hand are itching to take to the field, as well as their predecessors in the NKVD often did. We shall grant them this liberty with the formation of a commissar unit within the ISD. With bullets and a badge of office, they will serve as the backbone of our forces, enforcing discipline without compromise. Beautiful. Let's see, they got Caucasian. They got Slovakia. Still haven't done anything with Ukraine. I don't even want to do the joke there. Kind of too tired to do it. They're working on Scotland. Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening there. Oh. Not enough, evidently. Yeah. We'll go ahead and do... Well, this be for now. I also might end up just skipping through these, just do like a quick auto-complete once we hit 69. Hee hee. I think this will be thematic. Let's denounce the warlords, because we're coming right up on 69. And so we'll have to go to war with, well, Vyatka right off the bat, and then either Kemerovo or Cheetah. Probably Kemerovo. So it's a good idea to announce them now. The Black League is the only rightful claimant to national reunification. All other contenders are just weak and incapable warlords. The Black League is the only group that can achieve the destruction of Germany and National Socialism. Once we can make Russia strong enough to complete the Great Trial, the armies... Oh, only we can make Russia strong enough to complete the Great Trial. The armies of the Black League are the strongest in Russia, and will never bend to any opponent. Beautiful. beautiful. Did you... Oh, autosave, right. Should we prepare for war? I think we shall. Raise some additional reserves. Develop a Euro supply chain. The West Siberian Provincial Authority has overcome its obstacles and conquered other nations in the Ray, either through peaceful unification or forceful war. Pretty much the last one. Now it stands at the precipice. The vast territories of Russia are expansive, and while the West Siberian Provincial Authority controls a significant portion of it, there's still much more to conquer. We must begin preparing for a war that will challenge our military, unlike other wars that have come before us. The sovereignty of Western Russia shall fall. Let's see who will stand tall in the end. Let's see, what do we want to do on top of this? Maybe a recon company boost would be good. And we'll see whether we're good to just start with that or improve worker training. Yep. Vyatka is preparing to go to war with us as well. Only makes sense. Well, let's get some aid for the reconstruction. Now that we are on better terms with Japan and the U.S. Oh, a little awkward. The National Reclamation Authority has started asking nations for materials and supplies. Ostensibly, this will be used for the reconstruction and rebuilding of our nation. Most of it will, in reality, be used for military buildup. Russia cannot be unified with consumer goods and civilian technologies. Only through the sword and the shield may we achieve vengeance on Germany and her collaborators. Any other contender for the unification will surely show no mercy. We will act in kind. I will be the sword and shield of Russia, by which justice will be done for the fallen. The Moscow autonomy has a bad opinion of Cheetah. Not too much. Well, that's sort of because they're a despotism like us. Although, for how much? Oh my God! They did it, Glenn! They did it, guys! Oh my God, that is beautiful. Oh. Oh my God. Oh! Oh! Oh, this world is so beautiful. Why do I have to kill it? Oh. No, this is the first time I've seen the AI elect John Glenn. God damn it. Let's do Chelyabinsk. Oh, that was that's great. That is hilarious. But it's sad because I'm gonna have to do old Johnny Boy dirty. Well, America already did us dirty, the losers. As expected, now that we've opened up contact with the outside world, requests to offer humanitarian aid to our populace have begun to arrive with the Foreign Ministry. Preparation has already been made for those useful idiots. A compound near Omsk has been set up for the Red Cross to share with a few Catholic organizations, and they'll be arriving soon. Guides have been carefully chosen from the ranks of our special forces. They'll provide a smiling face to the foreigners and give plenty of notice as to where the humanitarians are planning on heading next. A team of prudent specialists will be moving ahead of aid caravans, preparing the site and the locals to survive against the international scrutiny. Any villager with loose lips that are found to be in the path of foreigners will be quickly relocated to work camps to avoid any regrettable leaks. Some in the League aren't certain of any of this being worth the risk, but it's hard to say no to free vaccines and foreign planners setting up emergency preparedness protocols in the countryside, even if the pretentious notion that they're here to lift us out of poverty is an insulting one. We'll watch them carefully. Oh, I'm getting called. This is a bit of an awkward time. I'll tell you. I gotta send a message to him real quick. Alright, well, let's get back to it. Shit. What do we want to get to, though? Perhaps the Resource Consolidation Commission. Work on finishing up the industry tree. Siberia is thought of by many as a barren land devoid of life or value. There's no denying that much of Siberia is sparsely populated, but only the uninformed and the foolish can say this land is worthless. From oil to iron, there are bounties of material that could aid our mission literally beneath our feet, and all we need to do is take them. Unfortunately, that's where the difficulties lie. The various warlords who once controlled these resources were not exactly efficient in charting or extracting them, and things have not improved since we took charge. To mend the situation, Petovranov has recommended that we create a subdivision of a state development directorate. The Resource Consolidation Commission, excuse me. I'll restate that in a more formal, ending the sentence sort of way. This commission would be charged with centralizing and streamlining resource harvesting within our state. Under their watch, the oil will flow consistently. The steel mills will meet their quotas, and no more resource deposits will linger in the earth unexploited. Beautifully. Beautiful. I'm proud of you boys. Pay off our debt. We barely have anything left. I'm happy. I don't even think we need to up construction right now, because our construction last time I checked was pretty damn good already. Yeah. Ivan sighed as the American doctors left the village in their small caravan of jeeps. They had been pleasant to deal with, more pleasant than anyone had expected. The government warned them to be on their best behavior, and they had done so. Russia didn't have people like those Red Cross workers anymore, people with big hearts and big bright smiles. It was infectious. The town found itself smiling despite themselves, singing songs and drinking vodka in the foreign camp at night. The children had been inoculated against diseases, and Ivan was glad that his own daughter might have a better chance at life thanks to their actions. No sooner than they disappeared over the horizon did the Black League Special Forces team step out of the forest. Ivan felt his heart drop. The pleasant dream the Americans had brought with them had left with their caravan. An acceptable performance. What do they leave behind? For a single suicidal moment, Ivan thought about lying, about hiding the medical supplies, the water purification equipment, the school books. With a reluctant sigh, Ivan handed over the rough scrawled inventory list he'd made. The officer scanned through it and nodded. We'll have a truck here in a half an hour. Have a few men on hand to help us load it all up. We'll put their aid to good use. 25 political power, beautiful. Those kids don't need books. You don't need to know how to read, you just need to learn how to kill Germans. Let's work on getting some people out of poverty. If you have a full stomach, you're better able to lift up your gun. So you can, say it with me now. Kill Germans! It's, basic economics. If you don't have a populace with enough resources, they aren't able to buy any guns. They aren't able to go out and train them. And they can't kill any fucking Germans when the Great Trial comes about. Speaking of which, let's put the Great Trial above all. Our duties have greatly expanded following our triumph over our rivals to the immediate west. A larger territory means more people to control, more industry to manage, and more bandits to eliminate. Committees and subdivisions of the League will be created to account for these, and new members will be inducted into the League as necessary. However, these things, while necessary to ensure our continued existence in the face of the adversity that we face, should not distract us from the purpose of the Black League and every single member within, the preparation of Russia and her people from the Great Trial. Bunkers shall be expanded, military industries built up. The barracks and unit system will be extended to every corner of our authority, and all will participate in making ready for the Great Trial. And with that, I'm going to have to cut it here, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you as always for watching. If you like this video, leave a like. If not, feel free to dislike. If you want to see more of the content in the future, go ahead and hit the sub button for more uploads every weekday. Not every Saturday, occasionally Saturdays. If you have any comments, feedback, concerns, leave in the comment section below. I read all the comments I get. I appreciate any all feedback you might have for me. If you want to chat or play games, I have a Discord. If you want to send a few bucks my way for Patreon. If you want to see me do sort of live, I have a Twitch. All of which are down in the description box below. Thank you as always for watching, ladies and gentlemen. My name has been DB333. And I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.